Every morning at exactly 7 a.m., the town held its breath. Not because of the sunrise, not because of the church bells, but because of her, the little girl in the pink coat who walked 6 massive German shepherds like she was born to lead them. People called her the Pink Shadow. Others said she was an angel. But no one knew her name, and no one knew the truth. A truth so heartbreaking that, when it finally came out, the entire town would never forget it. Maplewood was the kind of neighborhood where nothing unusual ever happened. People woke up, drank coffee, took the kids to school, and complained about the weather. But every morning at 7 a.m., life paused. A tiny girl, no more than 6, would step out from the old stone house at the very end of the street. Her bright pink coat swayed behind her, almost too big for her small frame. Her hair was tied neatly with a little white ribbon, and surrounding her were 6 enormous German shepherds, each one taller than her waist. But the strangest part? They walked like trained soldiers. No barking, no pulling, not even a tangled leash, just perfect harmony. No one understood how a child that young could control dogs strong enough to drag a grown man off his feet. She never spoke to anyone. She never changed her route. She never missed a day. And people whispered the same 3 questions. Who is she? Where are her parents? How does she control those dogs? No one had answers, until the morning one man decided to follow her. Everything changed from that moment. David Parker was a 42-year-old journalist who had spent most of his career writing small stories nobody cared about. Missing cat, town parade, mayor's birthday, nothing exciting. But the first time he saw the little girl, something inside him shifted. He had been sitting in his car outside the bakery, sipping bad coffee, when he saw 6 German shepherds marching in perfect rhythm beside a tiny girl in pink. He almost spilled his drink. Impossible, he muttered. The next morning he returned at the same time. And the next. And the next. Soon, he couldn't stop thinking about her. She walked too calmly. She looked too serious. She didn't behave like a normal child. And the dogs, their eyes never left her. They watched every car, every stranger, every sudden movement, as if protecting something precious. Finally, David made a decision that would change everything. He followed her. He stayed a good distance behind her, camera in hand. He thought he was quiet, but the dogs were trained far beyond anything he expected. Halfway down Maple Street, all 6 suddenly turned their heads in the same instant. 6 sharp pairs of eyes locked onto him. David froze. The girl turned too. She didn't look scared, just aware. Her voice was soft. Why are you following me? David swallowed. I'm not. I was just walking. He didn't finish, because the dogs closed around her like a protective wall. Perfect circle. Not a bark. Not a growl. Just silent warning. For the first time, David felt a chill run down his spine. This child wasn't ordinary, and those dogs weren't pets. The next morning felt different. Clouds hung low. The streets were wet. The air felt strange. David watched from across the street. The girl appeared again, pink coat glowing softly under the gray sky. She crossed near the corner bakery. And then, a delivery truck screeched around the bend. Too fast, too close, too out of control. David shouted, "Look out!" But she didn't even have time to turn. The dogs did. 2 of them lunged backward, grabbing her coat gently with their teeth. They yanked her out of the path of the racing truck. The other 4 spread out in front of her and barked with a fury that shook the entire block. The truck skidded. Tires screamed. Metal groaned. It stopped only inches away. People gasped. A baby cried. Someone dropped a coffee cup. David sprinted forward. "Are you hurt? Are you okay?" The girl nodded, trembling. But there was something in her eyes he didn't expect. Not fear. Guilt. And then, as she adjusted her coat, the fabric shifted. Just enough for him to see it. A tiny wrapped bundle pressed tightly against her chest. Not a toy. Not a bag. A living thing. David whispered, "What are you carrying?" Her lips quivered. "Please, don't tell anyone." David didn't sleep that night. He paced around his living room replaying every detail. Why would a little girl hide something under her coat? Why did the dogs protect her like trained officers? And why was she alone? The next morning, David began digging. He visited the school. No record of her. He went to the animal shelter. No adoption history for 6 German shepherds. He visited the police station. Nobody recognized her, except one older officer with tired eyes. He frowned deeply. That sounds like Lily Carter. Lily, David repeated. The officer nodded slowly. Her parents died about 6 months ago. Car accident. Her father was one of our top K9 trainers. David felt something cold wash over him. What happened to Lily after they passed? The officer sighed. We thought she went to relatives, but no one's heard from her. And the dogs? He hesitated. They were her father's trained unit. Strongest dogs we ever had. David's heart pounded. She wasn't a mystery girl. She was an orphan. An orphan who had vanished with 6 elite police dogs. And nobody noticed. David drove straight to the old stone house, the place she always disappeared behind. The gate creaked as he pushed it open. Grass grew wild around the broken path. A shed leaned to one side, and then he heard it. A soft whine, followed by another. He stepped into the backyard and froze. The 6 German shepherds were lying around a small blanket fort, guarding it, warming it, protecting whatever was inside. David slowly crouched. Lily, he whispered. A little face peeked out. She didn't run this time. She didn't seem surprised to see him. She just looked tired. Inside the blanket fort, wrapped in a tiny towel, was a weak newborn puppy. Her voice broke. Please don't take us away, she whispered. This is my family. David sat on the cold ground. The dogs didn't growl. They seemed to understand he wasn't a threat anymore. Lily stroked the puppy's tiny head. How long have you been living here? He asked gently. She looked down. Since the day Mom and Dad didn't come home. David's chest tightened painfully. You've been alone? For months. She nodded. But I wasn't really alone, she whispered. Daddy said the dogs would protect me. And they did. They kept me warm. They found food. They never let anyone come near me. Tears blurred David's eyes. This child had survived because her father's dogs never abandoned her. He swallowed hard. You don't have to hide anymore, Lily. I promise. Her eyes filled with fear. They'll take the dogs away, she whispered. They'll separate us. No, David said firmly. I won't let that happen. For the first time, her shoulders relaxed. That evening, Officer Daniels arrived with social services. Everyone expected chaos. A crying child. Aggressive dogs. But what they found instead melted even the coldest hearts. In the living room were dozens of handwritten letters. Small, messy, written in pencil. Letters to her father. One for every day since he died. One letter read, I walk the dogs every morning, Daddy, so no one knows I'm alone. I'm trying to be brave like you taught me. Officer Daniels wiped his eyes. A social worker sobbed quietly in the corner. Even the dogs seemed calmer, as if they understood the moment. Weeks passed. The old stone house that once held so much silence was now filled with life again. Laughter replaced fear. Warm meals replaced scraps. Blankets replaced cold floors. Lily was taken in by Officer Daniels and his wife, a kind couple who had always wanted a child. But the best part? Her 6 loyal dogs stayed with her. Every single one of them. Not separated. Not rehomed. Not taken away. They remained her guardians. Her friends. Her last piece of her father. Then came the morning the whole town had been waiting for. 7 a.m. The sun rose over Maplewood. The bakery opened its doors. And the neighbors paused as they always did. Only this time, the girl didn't walk with her head down. This time she laughed. She waved at people. She greeted children. She even smiled at David, who watched from across the street with pride tugging at his heart. Her pink coat looked brighter. Her eyes clearer. Her footsteps lighter. She walked the same 6 dogs, but now, she was no longer hiding. She was home. Safe. Loved. Protected. And Maplewood finally understood the miracle they had been watching for months. As the camera faded on Lily and her dogs walking into the newborn sunlight, one truth echoed. Sometimes the smallest hearts carry the heaviest burdens. And sometimes love hides quietly beside us, waiting for someone to finally see it.